Thank you.
We're going to call the Smart Board of Directors meeting to order at 1:02 p.m. Thank you for joining us. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, I greatly appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God. With liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Mr. Martin, if you wouldn't mind calling the roll, please.
John Paul Rea,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Bert Gigan,
Present.
Ms. Sheila Fontaine,
Present.
Mr. Abdul Haddis,
Present.
Dr. Curtis Ivory is excused absent. Mr. Royce Manico is participating via Zoom.
Here.
And Ms. Diana McBride is excused absence.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Appreciate it. Next, we're going to go to the adoption of the agenda. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda as submitted with the exclusion of item 11C, smarter mobility, which we are going to facilitate next month for the public.
So move.
Been moved?
Support.
Been supported? Any discussion? Seeing that none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we will seek approval of board meeting minutes, starting with the December 5th, 2024 meeting. Well, sorry, I don't know how to read. We're going to go back up to number 5 and go with the certification of public notice. Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Smart will hold the January 27th. Well, my dates are off here. January 27, 2025 Board of Directors meeting at 2 p.m. on the 6th floor of the Buell Building. Located at 535 Griswold Street, Suite 600, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. This meeting is open to the public.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Appreciate it. Now we will move on to the approval of the minutes. We'll start with the board meeting minutes for the December 5th, 2024 meeting.
So
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They're approved. Next, can I please get a motion for the audit committee meeting minutes for December the 5th, 2024?
So move.
Been moved,
Support.
been supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Audit committee minutes have been approved. Last, the executive session meeting minutes for December 5th, 2024.
So move.
Been moved,
Support.
been supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we will move on to the public participation portion of our agenda. Should you like to discuss the board of directors today, please feel free to step up to the podium, and please keep in mind, Ms. Martin will be keeping an eye on the time. Brother Cunningham, always a pleasure, sir.
It's always good to see everybody. Last meeting that was adjourned to today, there was folks that took the bus. They're supposed to drain people that drain their gas. It was surprising that it was canceled, but I think something should be done for those who do take the bus in the cold, like a bus ticket or a 24-hour pass or something like that. We apologize for that. Just in the future. Van Dyke Fest, Grand River Fest, it will be a good idea. And also virtual public comment at the board meetings. I know if you don't want the meeting to go hours and hours and hours, but maybe a limit of maybe 6 or 7 people can do virtual public comment, a cap like 5, so that the meeting doesn't just prolong. Hotline number 313-444-9114, 313-444-9114, 313-444-9114. That number was made so folks can remember it. Out in the community for smart passengers and DDOT passengers, I give out hand warmers, gloves, hats, and bus tickets. And sometimes the buses are not on time. It just brings them a little bit of joy, just brightens their spirits up. I've been doing it for years, and people do appreciate it. I think that's how I met Mr. Jones. He will be speaking. He has positive things to say, but I don't tell them what to say. I just, if they want to come, they can come. So I believe Mr. Jones will be next, and he has some good things to say about SMART. And thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. My birthday was yesterday.
Happy belated birthday, brother Cunningham, and always appreciate you coming out.
How you doing? My name is Tony Johnson. Yes, Johnson. I think SMART I stay right by the Jackson Hargroves Transit Center. So I can just look out my window and just see SMART, DDOT together. I don't have no issue with SMART. I think SMART is lovely. I think it's the best bus system in the world for me, because I lived all over the United States, and I've never seen a SMART bus just go straight down the first pavement road in America like that. It's like a limo bus to me. It's like a car without having to need a car. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I dislike about the SMART bus is just, it's not there like 4 o'clock in the morning. I wish it could just be like for workers that got to get up in the morning. It's not there at 4. So you got to wait till like 5:36, maybe something like that. Yeah, I just wish that could just change. If it was just earlier, push the SMART bus earlier. But other than that, it's a great service. I mean, I love it. It's you have less stops. You know what I'm saying? If you just want to get on, you know, you're just trying to get somewhere real fast, it does a great job at that. You know, lesser stops for me. I love it because it's lesser stops. You know, the Express, I love it. Just boom, right past. You know, all the other crowded people want to get on. We pass them right up. We don't have to stop and get them. But yeah, you know, I like SMART. SMART good. I don't have nothing else to say, but I just wish it was earlier. Yeah,
What
that's it.
county do you represent? What county?
Wayne County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone else looking to address the members of the board today? Good afternoon, Ms. Cope.
Hello, I wanted to speak to you earlier, but I guess the staff has denied me that right, I suppose. Maybe we can address that later. But there was an incident that happened last Saturday. Regarding SMART ADA customer service and the bus driver who didn't pick me up on time. He was 2 hours late. The ADA customer service thought this was funny. I didn't think it was funny. They lied on his behalf and said he already picked me up, which he didn't, you know. I think the one that called, her name was Yolanda, the ADA customer service. She said that he picked me up earlier, but that was a lie. And then now, this morning, I got a call from Chris Koza, and it came that I'm being punished because the way I spoke to them. First of all, the staff at ADA customer service, the agents, particularly the females, are very rude and nasty, dishonest, unethical. I mean, they have a ghetto personality, which is true. They think everything is funny. They don't never get my request correctly entered into the system because the bus driver said there's never no mention of me if I want to get picked up or dropped off. So I don't understand why I make a request in writing via email to say, well, I want to be dropped off, picked up. It's never written there. It's just not fair. I mean, she is downright unprofessional. She thinks everything is funny. There's been several mistakes made regarding my request the last several months. And it's unprofessional. They don't get reprimanded. They get a slap on the wrist. And last year, I was almost hit by a smart bus driver that was covered up too by staff, like offering me a free bus pass. I mean, I just feel like when it comes to me, I get disrespected. And that's not right. Maybe I need to file a civil rights complaint, which I will do if this don't get addressed properly. I mean, I get reprimanded for being disrespectful, but when I get disrespected, it's laughed over like it's funny. I don't think nothing's funny about waiting 2 hours to get picked up because the driver claimed he picked me up, and staff said that was true, which was a lie. They can be dishonest, and that's okay. And I can say what I want to say over the phone. If Donald Trump can say what he wants to say in this country and get elected as president, then I should be able to say what I want to say too, personally. If don't get addressed, I'm gonna file a civil rights complaint. I mean, why is it a bus driver took 2 hours to pick me up? Then staff lied on his behalf and said he already picked me up, which is not true. And the staff members there at the ADA customer service are unprofessional, they're rude, they're nasty, including some of these ADA bus drivers. But make me have to be a liar if I don't put down that I want to be picked up in the parking lot, which I do, but somehow ADA customer service don't put that in the notes. I'm getting very frustrated how I'm being treated and singled out, I get people make mistakes and all, but there's been too many mistakes when it comes to me. I had enough of it personally. And I get reprimanded because I made a comment. I didn't call her ghetto, which she was.
Thank you, Ms. Coe.
Thank you, Ms. Coe.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Lucas Lasecki from Oakland County with Transportation Riders United. For starters, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the planning and operations team for some pretty incredible service that was run for the Lions game. They brought back the special routes that were introduced for the draft, and I thought it went quite nicely. It wasn't 100% perfect, but I don't think you can really expect 100% for a one-off service like that. For what it was, they did a really amazing job getting the whole thing together on such short notice. It's a real shame they didn't get to do it again for a second Lions game, but c'est la vie in sports. At least the Commanders got what was coming to them last night. Also just wanted to extend some general congratulations for the restoration of service reliability. As of the latest numbers we were using to write our report, the state of transit, which will come out tomorrow, SMART was running a 97% pullout rate, which is really quite good and a great improvement from how it was back when you heard me complaining up here every month. There are still some issues to be sorted out with on-time performance and things. We've gone into detail with that in our report, so be happy to send a copy to each of you to look over once it's published. And please do join us for the State of Transit annual meeting on Zoom tomorrow night. We're out of in-person tickets. We'd love to see you on the virtual option. That's all I've got for you. Thank you for your time. Keep up the great work and see you next month.
Lucas, as always, thanks for showing up. And if you could have the True folks send over the link, we'll make sure it gets out to members of the board to see if we can participate. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Plowski. I'm from Southgate, Wayne County. I'm a longtime SMART rider, transit advocate, and I'm the SMART Advisory Council at large. Today, Happy New Year. I want to wish all the board members a welcome back into this new year, especially with the new plans that SMART has to increase service. But I do have some concerns regarding last year's Q3 service report. I had recorded trips between June of last year and December. And every trip that I had recorded on each route that I had ridden on with SMART, they either showed up either 25 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 11 minutes late, or they would not show at all. I have major concerns with that. And I got all my numbers validated by Deshalon in the operations department. And she said the same thing. We did not have a good service report during the Q3. I want to ask, and I wanted to make sure the board heard these numbers first to know exactly what we are going through. SMART is not perfect. I know that. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I will echo the comments made by Lucas regarding the Lions show. It was very well in some spots. It wasn't perfect, but every bus showed up for each member of the public to use to be able to go down and watch their wonderful Lions play. Go Lions, as I would say. But when we're talking about regular service, there are some major concerns. We're getting into budget season. We are going to be having those conversations with state senators, state reps, whether you're an employee of SMART, lobbyist of SMART, or an advocate of SMART. I don't want to look at state reps and say that our service is not on time or our service is not performing well, because that's going to give them the impression that they're not going to want to fund SMART. I kindly ask this board to be able to look into, in this year, when we're making investments towards SMART, we have to put our best foot forward. We cannot have 25-minute late buses. We can't have no-show buses like we did in the last quarter report. We need to do better. And I hope that with this new year and fresh start, it goes well. I have been starting a new spreadsheet for this new report, and trust me, I've been seeing a lot of improvements. So kudos to Deshalon and all of the planning operations and all of their work to try and get this fixed. And kudos to you, Bernard, for always answering my calls when I need you for certain service requests. But overall, this pilot programs, the services that you're providing now for shuttles and special events have been very well, especially the Lion Shuttle. I'm very impressed. Other than the 901 showing up 10 minutes late, but still a lot of great services in other parts of the region. And trust me, Commanders got what they want last night. But we got a lot ahead of us in 2025. Just hear me out. We have so much. If we want the support from our legislators, we have to put the best foot forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Any members of the public looking to address the board? Going once, twice, 3 times, and we will close public participation. Next, we are going to go to the chairperson's report. Want to again extend a degree of pretty sorry for this past Thursday's meeting. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend due to a previously scheduled commitment, so it kind of hurt with us getting quorum last week Thursday, and appreciate everyone being able to work administratively here internally and with members of the public giving us a little bit of grace, but thrilled that we were able to reschedule and be able to hold the meeting today. As far as other updates on the chairperson's report, I am going to throw it over to Laura, who's going to come up and discuss the ability for us to create a special board policy committee to assist us with a number of things that not only were brought up in public comment, but with us looking to optimize board structure to support the administrative team. Laura, how are we doing today?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Board. In accordance with SMART bylaws, special committees may be established from time to time. This agenda item and resolution seeks the chairperson's appointment of members to a special committee that will review SMART's board policies and advise the board on any areas requiring revision or amendment. According to SMART's bylaws, the chairperson shall be an ex officio non-voting member of all special committees. This means the chair has the right but not the obligation to participate in the meetings. This item seeks appointment of 3 members to the special committee, 1 each from the counties of Macomb, Wayne, and Oakland. These 3 members are in addition to the chairperson, who is already an ex officio non-voting member by virtue of his office. As with the appointment of all committees, a committee chair should be specified.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion or any interest in serving on this committee.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I spoke with Ms. McBroom about that, and she would like to be considered as the Oakland County rep.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Resgen. Appreciate that.
I would recommend the future member, Mr. Turfey. That's what he get by not be coming to the meeting.
Excellent. Appreciate that, Mr. Hedis, and Ms. Cote, if you wouldn't mind seating on the committee, as I will also be represented.
Absolutely.
So the chair would entertain a motion for Ms. Cote, Ms. McBroom, and Mr. Turfey as members of the SMART Special Board Policy Committee.
Mr. Chair, can I ask that you specify a chairperson of the committee?
Ms. Cote, would you have any interest in chairing said committee?
Yes.
Ms. Cote will act as chair. Excellent. Can I get that in motion form, please?
So move.
Been moved?
Support.
Been supported. Any further discussion or nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Laura. Appreciate that. Excellent. And that's all I'm going to talk about. So we're going to move on to the financial report. Ryan, how are things looking as far as dollars and cents?
Mike, real quick, we'll see you. Thank you. Overall, it was a pretty good quarter for Smart. So this is the financial report for the quarter ended September 30th, 2024. I know that that may seem that it's coming to us a little bit late, but the December meeting is a little heavy on financial stuff when we close out the year and go through the audit as well as all of the other items. So we made the decision to try and push it another month. As it is, you'll see, it is a relatively vanilla financial report. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I just have a couple of quick comments, and then I will open it up to the board for questions. On the operational statement, you'll notice that our budgeted revenues are slightly behind where we were projecting for this period. That is largely due to a timing difference of our federal revenues. We programmed certain grants to pay for certain expenses, primarily due to planning and certain capital items that just haven't been expended yet, thus we can't draw down or record that revenue. You'll also notice that our wage expense is slightly below budgeted numbers as well. Well, that is partially due to the headcount, as we've made great progress on hiring new folks. We still have several open positions. Another key thing to remember here is there are certain costs associated with ratifying the union contracts that were recorded in this quarter. So the ratification bonuses and certain other vacation payouts and things of that nature are recorded in this quarter. Our operational expenditures are about 20% lower than we were expecting. This is largely due to a decrease in our vehicle liability estimate. While we have seen a lower volume of cases being generated for this quarter, so as we've settled cases, there hasn't been as many cases taking their place in litigation. So we are hopeful that as we move forward that we can keep that low. But remember, this is only a one quarter snapshot. So it can take up to 2 years for cases to kind of fully get filed and kind of into the estimate process there, if you will. Other than that, Smart's in a pretty good financial position. We are overall about 5% below budget in total, so things are going pretty well. One quick comment on the balance sheet. Smart remains able to meet all of our current obligations, so there's no issues with liquidity, and our net position remains strong. Other than that, I can take any questions that board members may have.
Appreciate the effort from you and the entire finance team, and it's always refreshing to see how stable the financial position that we're in. Any questions from members of the board? Chair would,
Good job.
excellent. Chair would entertain a motion to receive and file.
So move.
Been moved, been supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Next, we will move on to the general manager report. Mr. Farrell, how are we doing today?
Doing wonderful.
Excellent.
For the sake of time, I'm going to skip my report and do it next month, but I would like to, Harmony, are you out there? Okay, so Harmony's not here. Some of our customers mentioned about the service that we had for Lions, and I agree with all that. My new adopted team, I'm disappointed because it did is what my last home team did. So, unfortunately. But I'm also glad the Eagles and one of the Commanders lost. That being said, we had approximately 600 riders that day. One of the things that we're exploring as we can continue to improve both from a staffing point of view and a vehicle reliability point of view is hopefully in the next season to be able to do this at some key games in the future. We have actually entered into some long-term agreements with these locations to be able to do this when we need to. So this won't be the last of us doing it, but we want to make sure that when we do it, we can do so and provide consistent and timely service. So that concludes my report.
Mr. Farrell, if I may, real quick, also wanted to applaud the team with obviously sustaining operations during the weather and no major disruptions on that end, but obviously we want to be mindful of that not only whether it's the bitter cold or with the snow that's in the forecast for in some of these instances to ensure that everyone on all fronts packs their patience on that side too.
I do have one more thing that I do want to mention. Obviously, with the changes in administration and some of the executive orders that have come down, but that is going to have a significant impact on transit, particularly as it relates to green initiatives. So all of the funding for anything that is a renewable energy source has been eliminated. So basically, if we're not buying diesel buses, we're not getting any money. So that also is impacting our disadvantaged business program. That has been paused, for lack of a better term, but it was our intent to expand to small business anyway, and to veterans owned, women owned, and what have you, just so that we could do that. But right now, that would be more of a board policy than a federal regulation.
Gotcha. Excellent.
So as we get more details and more specificity about how much we're going to be impacted, we'll provide the board with a much more detailed report. But there are some significant changes as far as Washington is concerned as it relates to transit. It's almost 180-degree switch.
Excellent. Appreciate the update on that, Mr. Farrell. And obviously, as there's more information that comes down the pipeline, whether it's of programmatic impact or even capital impact, whatever engagement we can have with our friends in DC, whether it's from those that represent us or our CODEL, we'll see if we can advocate on those arenas.
I also want to call to this board's attention because some of you, because you have representatives on other public organizations that have transportation issues or responsibilities. Congestion mitigation funding, CMAC. That's basically dollars for reverse commute. So to encourage people they give you money 3-4 years for a pilot project to get people to use the system with the idea that you would be able to reduce emissions. Gone. Whatever. So in some ways, it's a good thing because going for those dollars and not having a way to be able to replace them when they go away is always problematic anyway. But again, a lot of we're not quite sure yet how the changes in DC are going to impact us for dollars that we used to depend upon.
Is CMAC gone in its totality or just transit affiliated projects?
We have no idea.
Great question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Well, it's anything that is environmental. So whether it's renewable energy or anything that is supposedly going to adversely impact greenhouse gases is on pause, for lack of a better term.
Undoubtedly, we'll always recalibrate our approach regardless of the administration, but that's why we've made investments not only in having representatives in DC advocating for our behalf, but following the bouncing ball of what some of these outlays look like, that whether it's from an FTA designation or a DOT side on that element.
So given that we depend on federal dollars for some things that are ultimately flow into operating, this makes us and every other transit system more vulnerable given what's going on right now.
Sure. Appreciate that update, Mr. Farrell. And obviously next month too, we'll sprinkle in some of the updates on the response to some of the service numbers that we've been seeing, because I know the team's been committed to that as far as developing some solutions and responding to those inquiries on that side. But I know we've got 2 board updates today. First is the HR hiring update with Tiana. How are we doing today?
Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am Tiana Leapart, here to report the HR hiring update. The report is from December 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. In the month of December, we had a total of 23 new fixed route operators, 5 new paratransit operators, 0 mechanics, for a total of 28 new hires for the month of December. Our total budget for bus operators is 426. Out of that, we have 413 filled, leaving a remainder of 13 vacant positions. For our paratransit, we have a total of 142 budgeted positions. Out of the 142, we have 129 filled, with leaving 13 vacant positions for paratransit. And for our mechanics, we have a total of 85 budgeted positions for mechanics. 65 is filled, leaving 20 vacant positions. And that does conclude my report for the month of December, and I'm here and available for any questions.
Tiana, as always, greatly appreciate the update and thrilled to see the progress that we've made on the operator side. And undoubtedly, anyone that is in the mechanics business know how difficult that industry segment is at this time. But undoubtedly something we'll continue to advocate for.
Just so that you will know, once we get to that number, we're gonna keep hiring. Because the group, the number is still fluid.
Sure.
So it is our intention to have more than, so that, what we ultimately would like to be able to do is by the end of the year, have service levels, not necessarily the same service, but service levels back up to pre-pandemic levels. And so that's predicated on the reliability of our vehicles and the availability of staff, but that's the goal.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any
Thank you.
comments from members of the board? Seeing none, would entertain a motion to receive and file.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next, we're gonna get an update on the Smart Flex 1 million rider update. Danny, how we doing today?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, member of the board. I'd like to bring up with me Ben Wheelock, who represents VIA. We want to give a very exciting update on our Smart Flex program. For those of you who remember back to when we launched this, it was March of 2021. The first month we had 122 total riders, right? So where have we gone since then? Well, we are proud to announce that in December of 2024, we reached our 1 millionth rider. This is.
Yeah, we can clap that out.
That's good. Yeah. So this is historic because we've done it in such a small time frame, right? As we've learned about this nationwide, right, it really does put us into elite company as far as microtransit, how we've launched microtransit and how we've grown microtransit. When you talk to VIA and you look across the nation, right, we really have become a leader in microtransit, both how many zones we have, the size of the zones, and just the pure ridership that we've seen from this. So this is kind of how we've gotten there. You can see that over the past few years, with the zones being increased, additional vehicles, additional hours being put into the service, this is how we're able to reach 1 million rides in the just under 4 years.
Dang.
Yes.
How many vehicles were we operating in March of 2021 versus now?
That's a great question. So currently we have about 70 plus vehicles assigned to us. When we launched, it was about 12, I think, 12, 13. The growth have come from zones being added, and then graciously the board, when we needed to increase wave vehicles back in January of 23, that added more vehicles to the fleet as well. So there's been the resounding need for growth in this service, and it's come in vehicles and driver hours. So we looked at a little bit of where our rides come from, right? So we did a survey at the end of last year about our ridership. We wanted to learn, why were they using this program, and kind of the frequency. And so this is kind of what some of the stats that we learned and some quotes that we got from current riders at the end of last year. So you can see that, the riders in this are mixed, right? You have able-bodied riders, riders with disabilities, but it's really become a shared service of everybody using it. So if you look to the far left, you'll see a heat map of where our ridership over this million has really come into play. So you see every zone has an impact in this.
Danny,
Yes, sir.
at some point in the future, could you, for the board and for the public, to identify the people who are disabled,
Mhm.
who have access that wouldn't have access were it not for Flex?
Absolutely, we can. Yes.
Because the paratransit is within 3/4 of a mile of the service.
Mhm.
This is outside of 3/4 of a mile, so
It
there
is.
are more people who are not stranded, stuck.
Sure. They have a
Whatever.
service that they can use that creates independence, especially with how this service is designed.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We can definitely show the map and we can do an overlay of ADA to show people outside of that
Exactly.
3/4 mile demographic. Yes. So we did a few things to celebrate this momentum. So we acknowledged the drivers who have been very integral in reaching this milestone, as well as passengers. So we have some nice pins that acknowledge the 1 million rides. I know Via is going to give us a nice plaque that's going to give us the day or the month and the year signifying this milestone. But the giveaways were very well received by both the public as well as the operators.
It's good for branding too.
It is, yes. So that, and I will answer any questions the board may have.
Not a question, but as a standard procedure, the board briefings are so great. Can you provide the slides to the board members after the meeting, the HR and the transit slides?
Yeah, if we could.
Great shorthand notes for us to take back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments from
Yeah.
members of the board? Danny, fantastic work, and to our partners at VIA, we appreciate your ability to not only expand this with us, but more importantly, understand how we can refine the service to meet the needs of the public. And I think that's probably been the most, fascinating thing about this is it's just an idea that was in a budget a few years ago,
Yes.
and now it's fully operational, which is both really empowering yet terrifying at the same time because we got 1 million people using this thing. So
Yeah. Years ago, when we all went to learn more about the service, everyone was, okay, what is this? Describe it to us. And the leaders in the Texas region did a great job of explaining how this has benefited. So to see now us come full circle and keep growing, right, with the Smarter Mobility Program and what that next million will look like and how quickly it will come with those expansions is exciting to see as well.
Excellent.
Mr. Chair.
Ms.
I have a
Cote.
question. Can you explain a little bit about marketing and how you get that information out to the public with regard to individuals with special needs and seniors?
Are you talking about the service in general or?
Yes.
Yeah, so a few ways. When we launched, we did a very heavy marketing campaign looking at current riders, looking through community-based programs. If, we could get a ridership and just letting them know your address is going to be in this zone. Then through downloads, we were able to, that's helped us grow a lot of the zones, right? So when we launched Dearborn, for example, it was centered in downtown Dearborn, but we quickly saw downloads and trip requests just outside of that initial zone, both to the north, to the south. So we grew zones based on those downloads. And then through different marketing on, the user app, overall, I think we did some senior outreach through different brochures. That has really helped grow this as well. And even today with our current call center, when we identify that somebody's in a zone and they're using paratransit, we do make them aware of these services because of that independence, right? That no need to pre-schedule, being able to ride whenever you want, right? We've had riders who've transitioned over to SmartFlex because of that fluidity.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, Danny. in
Yes,
some of
sir.
The earlier ones, you would talk about the wait time.
Yeah.
And I think it was people per ride. There was some metric that used, how has that been trending? Still in the good direction?
It's still in the good direction. I know that next month we'll be doing a ridership update, so we'll be looking at that again. We wanted to focus this one. That we monitor those on a bi-weekly, well, overall as a group, right, with our vendor, but our staff watches that on a daily basis to make sure that that remains consistent, that if there's any issues or hiccups, that we can address them immediately. The relationship with the riders with the service has been really positive. Even when an issue comes up, like we had one today, we call the rider, just understanding how the service is designed makes them really understand and kind of adjust maybe what their expectations were. But we will show the ridership and rides per hour next month.
Thank you.
Danny, thanks so much for the update.
you.
Chair would entertain a motion to receive and file.
So move.
Been moved,
Support.
supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we are going to move on to new business. We'll start with item 12A, a resolution for authorization to file and execute the applications, contracts, amendments for the Smart Fiscal Year 2026 annual application for the Michigan Capital and Operating Financial Assistance.
So moved.
Been moved,
Support.
supported. Ryan, what are we talking about today?
Hello. So the Finance Department is seeking authorization to file the application, execute the contract, and make any necessary amendments to our State of Michigan Operating and Capital Assistance Contract. So this is the contract that provides the local bus operating assistance funding, as well as the state match for any capital projects that are planned for the next fiscal year. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Any questions for Ryan? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we are going to move on to item B, amendment for the authorization to approve a contract amendment number 2 to increase funds for the Smart Mobility Program Planning and Project Services. In Harmony's absence, Miss Gunter, I believe, is going to help us out with this one. Tiffany, what's up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, we have our second amendment to the contract for Baker and Associates. This is our contract to look at microtransit project management and the Smarter Mobility Program, which started this month, January of 2023. This is our second amendment that we're requesting. The first one was a clerical error with respect to the total cost of the contract. This one, however, is a request to increase the contract amount by $651,000 for the base year, which would still be ending in March 12th, 2026. So we're not extending the time of the contract. We are asking for additional dollars to support the contract, largely because the demand for this work when we began the Smarter Mobility project grew instantly and exponentially across the region, with requests for additional analysis to be done, such as the market analysis that we're doing, as well as expanding the area for which we are looking at in terms of our planning to ensure that the region is connected. So this additional coordination that we're looking at, as well as the analysis that's needed, along with the public engagement that we're doing, we anticipate that the $651,000 will take us through the end of the base years of the contract to 2026. So with that, I will stop and answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Tiffany, as this has obviously been going, the work by Michael Baker and obviously Harmony and the entire planning team has expanded quite considerably since the outset. Obviously, we had some preconceived notions of not only the geography of the existing service area, but how that really has turned into this amoeba. And we've gotten so much feedback from the public. Obviously, these resources will help expand that work. How does this look as far as the deliverables? Because we're trying to set these aspirational parameters out there about what we want to be when we want to grow up, so that those expectations are out to the public. But I think more importantly, showing incrementally how we can continue to invest in the system today to get to some of those grand strategies that we're putting in there.
Absolutely. Unlike a lot of plans, this plan is expected to be implemented. And so the stage that we're at now, next month, we're going to hear from the Smart Mobility team about the proposed recommendations, the hybrid. We've heard both the frequency side and the coverage side. We're doing the work to look at all different ways in which we can use remember, this is a fiscally constrained plan, existing dollars, in order to bring forth a new service. As Mr. Farrell mentioned earlier, we want to get back to pre-pandemic service levels, but definitely with a service that is responsive to this new way in which we see mobility moving. So that is what we are trying to adapt to now, is the unknown and trying to make it understandably unknown. So one of the things that we asked for, and one of the biggest cost increases in the space that we're looking at now, is what does the plan look like unconstrained? So if we gave everyone what they wanted, including frequency and coverage throughout this region, what would the system look like? To do that and to create the market analysis, to know how many jobs we touch, how much type of population we reach, and in addition to what we do currently with our fiscal constraints. It's something that our advocacy groups have asked us for, as well as our communities have asked us for. So we're in trying to be responsive to that. That's what your deliverable will look like, what you can do today with your dollars and what you can do tomorrow with additional dollars as well.
Tiffany, I know the other thing that's been really fascinating as we've been having these community outreach opportunities on the east side is the precision and technical approach that we can take, where historically it was one of those things where really it was just kind of two tools that we were looking at as an entity, that whether it be fixed route or paratransit. I think now that not only with the previous presentation we had with the microtransit options, but how we're also trying to work with other providers, you know, around the region. How have those conversations evolved, and how has that put that in a more advantageous position to use the different iterations of this said to be an actionable document as opposed to this blue sky type of approach?
Wow, drilling down and getting to that granular level approach has been, I don't know how to explain it truly. It's just truly taking everyone's input and genuinely trying to address it and being honest with the public of what's feasible and what's not feasible. I think that truly has taken the most time, if you would agree, Mr. Farrell, with respect to the public engagement, is delivering the truth of this is where the propensity for transit use exists and this is where it does not exist, and having those conversations and truly treating our member communities with the respect that it deserves to have those conversations.
Tiffany, Dwight, you know, and to Harmony and the entire planning team, very much appreciate the tremendous amount of work involved in this. And we understand that this is obviously at a dollar amount that we want to be very mindful to and sensitive, but these are strategic dollars that are going to continue us down a path to not only optimize the system so it meets the needs of the public, but I think more importantly, give it those actionable steps where we can work with not only our local municipalities, our transportation advocates, and the infrastructure folks to see how this fits into the entire suite of mobility options that we have. Mr. Farrell?
Well, one of the things that has been happening for some time, and the pandemic just took it to a whole different level, is more and more systems were looking for microtransit for last mile connect.
Sure.
So what a number of cities have done is completely redone their route structure to expand microtransit, and actually pulled back on fixed route to use microtransit to feed it, because more people are making trips that are within a 5 or 6 mile radius of where they live. Ms. Gunter can attest to this. I think our research has found that in this area, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so when I talked about earlier about what the service levels would look like, it's not going to be a whole lot more fixed route buses. There'll be some, but as we replace buses, they won't be replaced with 40-foot buses. They'll be replaced with smaller vehicles that'll still provide fixed route, but you won't have somebody complain about, I got this big 40-foot bus running down the street.
Yeah.
So the reason why these dollars are important, because to say transformational, that's about the best word that I can say, but the service that SMART delivers, this is going to deliver in 25, 26 and beyond, is not going to be anything like it and how it delivered it previously.
And Dwight, those I think says some of the fascinating elements of being engaged in this process is those service design options, is really, as we've had some of these conversations, that whether it's with our township supervisors or, you know, understanding how this is going to get integrated to the right of way, how much more options we have today, you know, with the creativity that's in this equation.
Well, if you think about this, that if you look at the growth percentage of microtransit versus the other modes of service, it's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, our fixed route service has not grown like this. Even the paratransit service hadn't grown like this. So that is where the future, it still doesn't address the long-term sustainability of funding issue, and it still doesn't address the trying to connect this sprawling region for people who are trying to cross it.
Sure.
But this is the first step in the direction of what would be how transportation, public transit, and then ultimately mass transit will look in the future.
Gotcha. So I've been rambling here. Members of the board, any comments on your side? Brett?
Tiffany, will the 650 cover the completion of that unconstrained option then by March of 26?
That is our expectation, yes.
Yeah. What's the footprint of that? Just the 3 counties, or do we stretch over to Washington?
No, it is the 3 counties.
Only this
Yeah.
smart service area.
Just
Are you working with Oakland County staff? Does it cover the outer parts of Oakland County?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you'll be coordinating with Eli and
Absolutely.
HNTB. Okay.
And the steering committee really has been involved, and Eli serves on that committee as well. And much of the additional market analysis has come from the direction of the steering committee.
And RTA and SEMCOG and MDOT are on there as well.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Thank
they are.
you.
And so as far as HNTP is concerned, this dovetails into what their work is as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also dovetails as it relates to the development of application, because right now, obviously, we're using VIA's app. But we're still looking to develop something of our own that we can do that ultimately integrates all of the transportation options in the region into an app where somebody can plan and pay for their trip. So if you are going from Macomb and you're going to go to downtown Detroit, we want to be able to have it so that you can make the connection between SMART and DDOT to be able to continue your trip, pay the whole 9 yards, and vice versa. So,
One more question. How about the community partner vehicles? We talked about that for a couple, 3 years.
I think when you get into the details of the report, you'll see that in an unconstrained version with, the proper funding, these would basically any service could be expanded by all community partners because there'd be a different source of revenue, which SMART would be paying for them to be able to provide greater hours. Not to mention fully maximizing the asset. So I think we've got some scenarios in there right now that even some of our future plans going forward take into consideration the use of community partners in an expanded role. Hence going back to the need for the application so that we can have a way to be able to, nobody wants to put all that hardware on a vehicle. So something that's tablet based or cell phone based makes all the sense to it.
And I think that's one of the big things that we're looking at too on our end is understanding how this smarter mobility strategy can be a vessel to amend and enhance the role of the community providers,
Oh,
not
yes.
only to meet the emergent needs that they're seeing right now and help them bridge a gap in funding, but I think more importantly, to really begin to get a crystal clear perspective of their role in the service delivery model also.
So one of the things about the unique situation that we have here with community partners that other places don't have is we have community partners. And like, for example, in Dallas, they contract with taxi companies and a whole bunch of different private providers and community groups and what have you to be able to provide this service. What we envision is the easiest way for us to be able to expand this service because we've already got equipment. And it's just a matter of, them maybe needing additional bodies, of which we would obviously be paying for and what have you. So the one thing that we also want to make sure is that as they expand, they've got the right resources in which to expand because the reporting requirements as far as the FTA concern goes up exponentially as it relates to post-employment, pre-employment, and drug testing, maintenance vehicles, the whole 9 yards. So in addition to this, we're looking at the systems that we have right now as far as our asset management, how we can expand that to the community partners so that they can have access, so that they can put their maintenance records into the same system. So it's a comprehensive and complicated in terms of expanding, but we want to make sure that we cross all of the T's and dot all the I's. So when we do this, we don't get tripped up with some bureaucratic snafu down the road.
Gotcha. Excellent. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Motion to been moved. Support. Excellent. Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next we are going to jump into a resolution for the authorization of a contract amendment number 1 for the extension of payroll and human resources information system services.
Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Tiana Leapart, and I am here to present, the contract amendment for ADP services. I apologize.
No worries.
Staff is requesting the approval of contract amendment for payroll and HRIS services with ADP. We are asking to extend, option year number 2 for 3 months from February 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2025, any amount of $71,000, not to exceed the total amount of $1,239,004.90. All services will remain the same, and this will include electronic time cards, vacation and accrual balances, benefit management, recruiting, labor relations services, employee records, new hire onboarding, and secure web-based services for SMART personnel. This contract is necessary in order to continue ADP services. We will work together to bring a new contract in the future months to the board.
Excellent. Tiana, greatly appreciate it. And obviously, we're very sensitive to the fact that this extension will ensure that we can continue to work with all the consultants as far as the next phases of this integration.
I don't want the board to be caught off guard. We'll be back.
Yeah.
We have some work to do with ADP as it relates to some contract language. It's much easier for us to continue down this path until we address the overall issue of our systems integration. So this is a stopgap so we can continue the negotiations, but it's important that people get paid. So that's where we are.
It's a big one.
Yeah, I think so.
Been moved? Been supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Tiana. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Mr. Burt, we're going to discuss a resolution for authorization to award a contract for remanufactured and new starters and alternators.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and SMART's Board of Members. It is the recommendation that the board adopts attached resolutions authorizing award of a contract for remanufactured or new starters and alternators to Kurtz Automotive located at 9330 Roselawn Street, Detroit, Michigan. This is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options beginning February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2028. And the amount not to exceed $280,000 for the first 3 years. And with the 2 one-year options, $220,000, totaling $500,000 for 3 years. Any questions?
Move for approval.
Been moved?
Support.
Supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor by signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Burt. Appreciate it. Next, we will discuss a amendment authorization of a contract amendment number 1 for the extension of a hardware warranty and software maintenance with Mr. Evans. What's
Good
happening?
afternoon, everyone. Staff recommends the authorization of contract amendment number 1 for the extension of hardware warranty and software maintenance services for our ADL system at a cost not to exceed $216,943. This contract will be paid for using operating funds. In October 2019, Smart Board approved a 5-year contract with Clever Devices for hardware and software maintenance. This contract expired in December of 2024. Due to the length of negotiations, it is necessary to have a contract amendment for services rendered until the new agreement can be approved. The contract amendment will cover services for 6 months. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Move for approval.
Been moved?
Support.
Supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Appreciate it. Next, we will move on to item number 13. Any board member business to discuss? Seeing none, the board would always entertain a motion to adjourn. Been moved? Supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thanks for coming, friends. Appreciate it.